Hello everyone and welcome to the Fourcast Hall of Fame ceremony 2023. It has become a tradition with this podcast. This is the third annual Hall of Fame ceremony, the one that every wrestler and celebrity-based wrestling person wants to be inducted into. How are you feeling, Damien? You've got your tux on, you've got your dicky bow, and it...
What are you going to say there?
And we're ready to induct some wrestlers into the Hall of Fame.
This is definitely the more prestigious of the Wrestling Hall of Fames.
1,000,000%.
For all the millions of listeners eagerly awaiting to see who this year's inductees are.
Yep.
We'll write the intro and we'll get right into it.
So just to go over the rules a little bit for the Hall of Fame, in case you've not listened to the Fourcast version, it's not for who we want to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. It's for people associated with WWE or wrestling that we want to be in our Hall of Fame because of like memories or impacts they've had on us. So some of our previous... shall we run through some of our previous inductees?
I think we'll run through each one when we do the categories.
Okay.
I think it'll be
Alright.
easier that way.
So the categories we have a headline pick, who's obviously tying it all up. We have a male inductee, a female inductee, a tag team, and then a non-wrestler. So, I don't know, do you want me to start? Do you want you to start? How are you feeling?
I think you should start.
Yeah? Okay. So, what category do you want to start with? Alright, so we're going to start with our male inductees. Some of the prestigious ex-inductees, previous inductees include Rob Van Dam, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and Chris Jericho. And my pick for this year is Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Massive part of WWE as I was growing up, with his singles run, matches that stand out, massive matches that stand out for me. Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam. Obviously the retirement match with Ric Flair,
Yeah.
I'm Sorry I Love You. And then also a bit that I loved as well was, I guess, more of his comedic side in DX. He was sort of a constant throughout, one of the big names, not ever the biggest or the headliner, but he was always up there and he put on entertaining matches throughout. So he is my inductee.
A valued pick there. I don't think anyone can dispute. Hall of Fame worthy career, as you listed a load of accomplishments there. Obviously, his biggest run was before we was watching, but his second run with the company was almost equally as impressive, even if not as much titles and stuff within that.
Yeah. We also obviously had the Undertaker match.
Yeah.
Which is one of the few Undertaker matches that I enjoyed. So for that alone, he needs to be inducted into my Hall of Fame. You better not have picked the Undertaker.
I haven't. I have picked.
He doesn't deserve to be there.
So,
Does not.
Controversial.
Most boring wrestler in the history of WWE.
Controversial opinions here at the Hall of Fame ceremony. The wrestler I've picked has been kind of a staple through the entire run of being a fan up until very recently, and I think although he was never the guy, he was just always there and had so many stories that I enjoyed around. So might not be everyone's pick, but I am going to pick The Big Show.
The Big Show. God.
From the moment I started watching, he was always there as that kind of theoretical wall to overcome. He was always that obstacle, and whether it's like matches with John Cena, Brock Lesnar, he had a lot of iconic moments. The constant heel turns and face turns, which did get a little bit tiresome, but he was always a presence. And I don't think it's too far-fetched to say he had a career worthy of acknowledgement.
He'll be in the WWE Hall of Fame. One thing that just flashed into my mind when you said brick wall was they always used to say, I think it was like one time Rey Mysterio ran into the Big Show trying to clothesline him or something, just bounced off.
Yeah.
They said it's like running into a brick wall, and I'm pretty sure Taz said, if you're out there and you want to know what it's like hitting the Big Show, run into a brick wall. And I remember running into my living room wall when I was a little kid. So thanks, Big Show.
Yeah, for that anecdote alone.
Yeah. And now, listeners, you can see why all of the big ones want to come into the Figure Forecast Hall of Fame when the inductees are laughed at as they are inducted. It's very prestigious, this affair.
Shall we move on to the women's wing of the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, let's try and be a bit more respectful, Damien, okay?
Yeah.
No laughing.
So in previous years we had Sable and Paige. They were inducted to our Hall of Fame first. And last year we inducted Lita and Trish Stratus.
Mm.
Which I think were the two most obvious picks.
Oh yeah.
Last year. Do you want to go first with your women's pick, or?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I've picked Chyna. You don't really need to say too much about her, but she was a trailblazer in that women's division. She was the first one to sort of cross over into the men's division as well, won the Intercontinental Championship, had programs with Chris Jericho, and sort of showed that women weren't necessarily just the eye candy on the show, in a way. Similar to kind of like what Lita and Trish did. It was just before them. And yeah, it was just something completely different, and is now that legendary status that I think definitely deserves going into the Hall of Fame.
It seems unlikely that she would get into WWE.
She went in, didn't she?
Did she go into WWE's Hall of Fame? It's always been one of those ones where she should have been.
I'm sure she did last year or something. Let's have a look.
Maybe she did.
Let me search whilst we're talking. Is Chyna?
But yeah, her career is what they describe as the 7th or 8th wonder of the world. I can't remember what number we're actually up to in real life.
She was inducted into the Hall of Fame as part of DX.
So she's in. Technically, but she's worthy of getting in WWE by herself. It's always been a little bit of a difficult one based on her post WWE career, but what she did with WWE is undoubtable. So worthwhile pick. You mentioned there about eye candy with wrestlers. It was very much that era that we started watching around WrestleMania 20.
If Kelly comes out of your mouth,
It's not going to be Kelly. But the women from that era had to. If they hadn't been there, we wouldn't still be getting. You couldn't run a division just on Trish and Lita, although Monday Night Raw certainly tried.
Mm-hmm.
So although they're more known for their looks and their wrestling ability, I do think that they were an important part of wrestling, even if we look back on it with a little bit of a awkward glance. I'm going to induct Tori Wilson. I think was the big name on the SmackDown side of the women's roster.
She involved in a lot of stories. You're right.
She was, again, like I said, more known for her looks than her in-ring performance, but she was able to do what was expected of her at the time, and like I said, I think an important part of that era of wrestling, even if we look at it a little bit weird now.
She could definitely go, to be fair to her. Like, she comes back in the Royal Rumbles like recently, hasn't she? And she doesn't look out of place as such.
No, I believe after she left WWE, she pivoted to like being a personal trainer and stuff. I think I've seen that. So
she's ripped as shit. So.
Obviously, she went from being a model to being a wrestler to being a personal trainer, which is like athlete. She went further into that thing. So when she's come back, it's really shown. So it's not expected that transition. I don't think, but
fair play to her. Fair play to her. So the next category that we've got is the tag team. And some of the tag teams that we've had previously are the Hardys, Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Outsiders. So, my next inductee in the tag team ones is the New Age Outlaws. Road Dogg Jesse James, who is a complete bellend and I don't really like, and Billy Gunn, who's really cool and I do like. However, the tag team, as part of DX later, but they were obviously an integral part of their division.
There's a bit of a theme going on here.
I was thinking that as I said, the New Age Outlaws. Yeah, I've gone very DX themed on this induction, but yeah, they were just great. They were very entertaining. They're always towards the top and had some really good matches. As part of DX is how I remember them, and I loved DX when I was younger. So they are my pick to go into the tag team division.
Yeah, a great pick. Not so much in when I was watching wrestling, but obviously they keep coming back. Well, one of them does now.
Yeah.
Billy Gunn obviously having a career renaissance over in AEW.
Billy Gunn's great.
Surprising for someone so late in his career doing so well. But yeah, their tag team has got so many big moments. We've even parodied their intro on this podcast before.
We did indeed. So who have you picked?
I've been thinking back and forth over loads of different tag teams, and
Damien discussed with me some of the illustrious names such as Jericho, Rated RKO, who aren't too bad, but Jericho, come on. The Miz and the Big Show. I think you really like the Big Show.
Well, as we said at the top of this episode, this Hall of Fame is for the wrestlers that have been part of our wrestling experience, and I decided to think a little bit outside the box. And two of my favourite wrestlers as a team, they were an actual team, I'll say, but I really like them from outside wrestling, as in the wrestling video games. But they were also a really good team in WWE. One of the guys has been mentioned earlier tonight, so you're not going to be happy about this, but I'm going for the Brothers of Destruction.
Oh my god.
Kane and The Undertaker.
The two of the worst wrestlers in the history of me watching wrestling. Two of my least favourite. Especially post-wrestling as well. Both are complete
The less said about post-wrestling, about Masked Kane and Biker Taker as the Brothers of Destruction.
Can't think of much worse, to be honest.
And even more recently, they've had their terrible reunion for that Saudi show, which has led to my favourite ever outtake from a WWE moment. If you haven't seen it, you need to look it up. They're filming a backstage segment, and they're obviously going up against DX, and they're meant to parody the DX. We've got 2 words for you, and I think it's Kane says, "We've got 3 words for you," which are supposed to be "rest in peace," and he sets it up, and Undertaker's like, "Go fuck yourself." Great outtake. Not inducting them for that, but I thought it was worth mentioning. But those old games,
Fair enough.
used to love playing them as a tag team. They both had incredible careers individually, and their tag team was a dominant force when it was there. I've got to pick them.
Each to their own. Everyone's got their own tastes. Let's go on to the next category.
So our next category is our non-wrestlers. This is for anyone who isn't known for being a wrestler, although some of them have wrestled. In our first year, you picked Jim Johnson, and I picked the, at the time, slightly controversial, and now much, much more controversial, Vince McMahon. I stand by what I said, in that the character was worthy of a Hall of Fame induction. Less said about the real man, the better, but I stand by that one. Last year, you picked William Regal, and I went with Jim Ross, which are very worthy non-wrestler picks. Who have you gone for this year?
The sumo that fought the Big Show at WrestleMania and gave him a wedgie. That is the person that I have gone for.
Do you know his name?
No, I do not know his name. I thought it'd be funny if I just said the sumo that fought the Big Show and gave him a wedgie at WrestleMania. And that is the exact reason that he's going into the Hall of Fame. Because it was funny at the time, it's funnier, even more funny now looking back at it. Big Show in essentially a thong, fighting a sumo in a wrestling ring with no ropes.
Yeah. I mean,
at WrestleMania.
That is pretty funny. I wanted, because of a recent musical moment, I wanted to say Kid Rock as to that infamous, terrible WrestleMania moment.
This would be the worst inductees ever on your side if you did.
I'm not picking him. I did want to say that. I'm gonna go for
Baron Corbin.
Because he's a wrestler.
I know. I'm just going with your terrible wrestler inductees.
I'm going for Teddy Long.
Player. Holla holla.
I mean, yeah, exactly that. Like
going down the Undertaker theme.
SmackDown was my show as a kid. It was the easier one to watch here in the UK before getting Sky Plus, and I thought he was so fun, so cool as a general manager. The fact that he wasn't a heel most of the time, I think he did have some heely bits from time to time, but the fact he wasn't a heel made me love him even more. And he's just got an infectious personality. Like, he's so cheerful. It's such a good thing. And yeah, he's going to go in. I think he's in the WWE one.
He's definitely in there. Yeah, 100%. He's great pick. Great pick. Like you say, SmackDown was my show as well. His personality, it's just different to have an authority figure that isn't a heel.
Yeah.
Like you say. So
I don't mind a heel authority figure, but it was refreshing for it to not be.
And he's just entertaining.
Yeah.
He's charismatic.
If you don't agree with us, he's going to make you go one-on-one with the Undertaker.
Player. Let's go on to the headline picks.
The buckle up Teddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, headline picks. Headline
picks. Previous headline picks have been Shad Gaspar, John Cena, The Rock, and Triple H. Now I'm going this year. He was a bit before my time, so I never really watched him wrestling, but it's more for the impact that he's had on the wrestlers that I watched when I was younger, and the wrestlers sort of now that all say that he was the best ever and have influenced them and their style, the way they wrestle and the way they think about wrestling. People like Brian Danielson, CM Punk, The Revival, people like that. So I'm going for Bret Hart as my inductee, as the headline pick.
A very worthwhile pick. He's known as the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be for a reason.
Yeah.
Almost ahead of his time. Like, he could fit in with the wrestlers of today.
For sure.
And do really well. Unfortunately, had his career cut short in WCW.
Yeah.
But yeah, iconic career.
Unfortunately, I think the only match that I ever watched live of his was when he fought Vince McMahon at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Which, the less said about that, the
Didn't
better.
he have a United States title run during that return?
I think he did.
Which is bizarre.
Yeah.
Again, I mentioned the games earlier, but I distinctly remember doing a Shawn Michaels career playthrough thing on one of the WWE games, and you get to Montreal and just the dawn, it dawning on me what was about to happen, and be like, oh no, I don't want to have to do this.
Yeah. Poor Bret.
Yeah. I'm glad that they managed to mend bridges.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I don't think things will ever be perfect, but it was good to see that, hear that music, and it not be the fake out we've had.
Yeah. Or Natalia.
Yeah. A worthwhile pick.
Who's your pick?
I'm also going a little bit before our time. If you remember, a couple of years ago, I had to watch all of the WrestleManias.
Yes, I do remember.
As a punishment, and although I'd watched old matches, actually having to sit and watch every match, you started to pick up on like themes. And there's someone from the early WrestleMania days that I never really got to watch properly until then. But I do think
Giant Gonzalez?
Not John Gonzalez. This is a good pick.
Hulk Hogan? He'd fit in with your inductee class.
It's not Hulk Hogan.
For many reasons.
It is Macho Man Randy Savage.
Great pick.
So, for years, to me, I knew him from seeing Spider-Man 1.
Of course, yeah.
Because I didn't really know about old wrestling at that age. And then he's another one that I think so many people reference, and he could fit in the modern day pretty well. And you see so much of his work, both his physical work and his kind of vocal promo stuff, being referenced in wrestling still to this day. So
a very worthy pick, 100%. He's another icon, I guess, of wrestling that kind of transcended just the wrestling world into the mainstream. So yeah, great pick, 100%.
If you had to ask like a random person to name some wrestlers, he's probably one that would come up from time to time. Like, obviously,
Sure.
I think Hulk Hogan is going to be the one that everyone knows, but Macho Man is going to get a lot of recognition there as well. He's been memed, which I suppose is the modern day way of knowing. You know if someone's a household name nowadays if they get memed. So,
well, on that note, that concludes our Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah.
Congratulations, obviously, to all of our inductees. We'll be sending them a Haribo ring to commemorate their induction into our Hall of Fame.
I'm sure they'll be very happy.
Yeah, thank you very much for all attending in Damien's bedroom as we record. I appreciate that. Not sure how Macho Man attended, but less said about that better.
I've got a Spider-Man 1 DVD somewhere. He's here in spirit.
There we go. R.I.P. Macho Man. Well, that's it.
Yeah, that's our picks this year. As always, we want to hear you guys' picks. Like, if there's anyone that we haven't mentioned in a previous year or this year that had an impact on you falling in love with wrestling, we want to hear about it.
Yeah.
And maybe it will help us next year when we have to pick, because this is getting surprisingly difficult, surprisingly quickly.
It really is. It really, really is. Well, that's the end of our Hall of Fame ceremony. Next podcast you hear from us will be WrestleMania preview.
Yeah.
We're in WrestleMania season now. 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks away.
Less than 2 weeks. 2 weeks from when we record this, it will all be over.
That's a bit sad, isn't it? It's like Christmas going by.
But we will then have the Mania after Mania, not
Mania after Mania.
The Raw after Mania.
We'll have the Raw after Mania,
which is always an interesting and a run of big, if slightly controversial for one of them, pay-per-views with Backlash in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, yeah.
We've then got King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia and Money in the Bank here in England.
Which I think we're going to try and go to. We missed out on tickets because they're stupidly expensive, but we'll try and get some resales.
If not, we'll have to host a big wrestling pack. Because it'll be at a normal time.
It will.
It'll be so nice.
Yeah. You Americans don't know how good you've got it.
It'll be really early for the Americans.
Yeah, I mean, normally, when I was in America, I was watching it at 7 o'clock at night. Bloody brilliant.
I suppose that's the advantage you get when it's on home turf.
Yeah, you lucky Americans. You get wrestling at a good time.
So, let's call it there. I'll throw out the socials and you can join us next time for all of the build to WrestleMania.
Bye bye, bitch.